Very good. All right. It works. Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to MotorCity Boat Werks. Let's get to work. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, let me take a moment to thank all of the supporters, all the fans of the show, and especially the workers. Those of you who are supporting the channel through Patreon, I really couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Today in the Boat Werks, I'm going to be working on one of those projects that's a little bit mechanical, a little bit electrical, a little bit fabrication, lots of problem solving. I'm working on the rudder indicators for my Great Loop boat. In the aft cabin of the Albin 27 pocket trawler, there are 3 lockers under the cushions in the aft cabin. And the one in the center, this compartment, we refer to as the rudder compartment. Inside this space, there's the rudder post, there's the rudder arm, which is attached to the steering cable that then goes to the helm. But this space also needs to contain some sensors and other mechanisms that'll tell us the position of the rudder at any given time. Things like the Raymarine rudder feedback unit, sometimes called a rudder RFU, and also a rudder position indicator. This is a sensor that's attached to an instrument on the dash, tells us where the rudder is visually. Now in this space, I also have to install the stern thruster unit and the dedicated stern thruster battery. I'll cover that install in a separate episode. All these things have to be installed, and the linkage mechanism has to kind of be connected between each of these items. There's a lot of steps involved. It's a little bit complicated. I hope you stick with me. I think the first step is I need to remove what's called the rudder steering arm from the rudder post. The rudder post is the vertical shaft that's attached to the rudder. It goes through the hull up into this locker, and then it's attached to what's called the rudder steering arm. I'm in the middle of replacing the steering arm for the rudder post here. That's what this is here. This is the steering cable. This is a small arm that then goes to the steering cable, which goes all the way to the helm, of course, to the steering wheel. When you turn the steering wheel, it moves the cable and pushes the rudder steering arm, which then causes the rudder to move. You can see that it's really kind of corroded. In fact, it's rusted because it's made of steel or some sort of ferrous metal. And this is probably the original rudder arm. It is in terrible shape. It's probably time to replace this. Now the issue is trying to find one, that will match it. Luckily, I was able to find a replacement off the shelf bronze steering arm. It's almost the same size as the original. The only issue is I have to drill the hole where the linkage bolt's going to go, connecting the steering cable to the arm. If you're new to the channel, I want to tell you MotorCity Boat Werks now has a technical library. It's available to the workers on my Patreon. Members get access to all my digital content, all my ebooks and articles. I publish a new article every week. They're detailed. They have all my tips and tricks. It's all free when you sign up. Real amateur boat building and boat restoration information. The next bit of work involves 2 installations. The first one is called a Rudder Reference Unit, an RFU, and this is a device that provides information to the auto helm. It tells the auto helm what position the rudder's in, and that allows the auto helm to make adjustments to maintain a course. My auto helm is made up of 3 components. The first one is the auto helm itself. The second one is what's called a flux gate compass, and the third one is the RFU. The auto helm, you program the auto helm with the course that you want to take. The flux gate compass keeps you in the direction that you're supposed to be going, but the RFU tells the auto helm whether or not your rudder is in the correct position to maintain that bearing. When you have wind or waves or whatever, well, the rudder may move, and the RFU tells the auto helm, that the rudder is not quite in the right position, and then the auto helm does its thing to put you back on course. The RFU has to be installed parallel next to the rudder steering arm. I'm going to take you through some of the steps of installing this thing so you can get an idea of what this project is like. The third project I have to do is installing a rudder position indicator. If you remember, on the dash at the helm of the boat, I have an instrument that tells me the position of the rudder, whether it's to the port or to the starboard side, and it gives you real-time feedback when you're turning the steering wheel. That instrument has to be connected to a sensor right next to the RFU and the rudder steering post. There's a little bit of engineering involved, a little bit of fabrication. Everything's got to line up just so. I'm going to try and take you through the process and show you what this looks like.
Both of these items come with very detailed instructions on how to do the install and all of the measurements and things that you need to keep in mind. Your situation may be a little bit different, but there are a couple things that you really have to pay attention to. One of them is that these instruments, the linkages, have to be done so that they're parallel and the linking arms are perpendicular to each other. They also have to be on the same plane. In reality, these items are different heights, and the rudder post itself may be higher or lower, so you may have to make a little platform in order to be able to mount these things properly so that the linkage doesn't bind up. I'll make all of my notes and materials lists available to the workers. Be sure to check it out.
All right. So we got two of these here. These will be the mounting blocks for the RFU and the rudder indicator. We'll kind of epoxy these in place in the stern locker there, and then paint these up, finish them out, and we'll be able to mount those items, to this, and then connect up all the linkage. That's the plan.
I built my platform blocks out of 3/4 inch plywood laminated together, and then I coated it all in epoxy and then glued them in place, attaching them to the hull.
Okay, I'm in the aft cabin here, and we're working on this, we'll call it the steering compartment. This is where the rudder post is. The rudder comes through the back of the boat. This is where the stern thruster is going to be mounted and everything. Take a look, it looks like this. You can see here. This is the rudder post right here. It connects to the rudder steering arm, right? And this connects to the linkage, which goes to the steering cable, goes all the way to the helm, connects to the steering wheel. This is where we'll put the RFU. This is the sensor that tells us the position of this relative to like a magnetic compass. This is where the rudder indicator instrument will go. It connects to the RFU, connects to here. And then when everything turns, hopefully all the gauges will show that. Now, because I don't know if you can see this is moving.
Only when you start putting everything together do you realize there's going to be more steps than what you originally planned for.
Now, the stern thruster is going to go right here. The stern thruster is powered by a battery, which is going to go right over there in this spot here. But the ABYC rules say that the battery has to be, firmly affixed so that it can't fly around in rough seas. It's got to be anchored down somehow. And in the case of lead acid batteries, it's got to be in some type of a tray or container that can capture any sort of... Now, I'm going to be using an AGM battery, a Group 31 AGM marine battery with about 600 to 1,000 cold cranking amps. It needs to be high output to be able to power and run the stern thruster. It's a battery that sits right back here inside the steering compartment, and it's connected permanently to the stern thruster. It doesn't do anything else but run the stern thruster. And it's got to go inside a box or a tray so that it can be firmly mounted back here. And that's what this is. I spent the morning building this. I built two of them, actually. One for the starting battery for the engine. That'll go in the engine compartment. And this one back here for this one here for the stern thruster. Let's take a look. This is what it looks like. Now, the reason I did this was because you can't drill into this because this is the hull. But you can drill into this, which is kind of like a mini bulkhead that is between these storage lockers. And once we kind of put this inside here like so, we should be able to mount it right to the wall here was the original plan. Let's see. Oh man, it doesn't really give me much opportunity to do that. Well, I was going to glue it in place, but this is so this bulkhead here does not look like it's vertical. What if I put a spacer in there? Son of a... Here, let me put it on this side. Let's change sides. Put this over here. Boom. That's that. Better?
No worries. I rebuilt the box and decided to move it to the opposite side in the rudder compartment. It works out better because it puts more weight on the port side of the boat, which I need anyway.
I think it looks pretty good. That's one down. On to the next project. Now we're going to figure out how to mount the RFU so that it, can get a reading from the rudder here.
Hey, I'm working here.
Once the platforms are done, now it's time to connect the linkage between each of these units. The RFU unit comes with its own connecting rod, and there are two fittings, one that goes on the steering arm and the other one that connects to the arm of the RFU unit. There's a range that the rod can only be so long.
We'll start with this guy here. This thing has to get mounted so that the wire sticks out the top. See, it's actually spring loaded. All right, so it's got to be mounted like this. The two screws. I bet these right here were to mount it to the rudder arm, which we already did. So we're good to go there. These will go here. This is plastic. Okay. All right. And so this, and I'm marking it and backing it off because we want to be able to tighten it. We'll have to cut this. This gets attached, and we'll have to measure over and cut this. This says... Yeah, it's cutting sloppy. It's sloppy! Sloppy hacksaw! It's sloppy. Don't use a hacksaw. The hacksaw blade is dull from who knows what I've cut with it. It's loose. It flexes. It's jumping and skipping all over the place. Use the snake. You can get right in there, precision, boom, take it right down. What did we get here? Let's see how close we got. We want 142. 141. All right. What do you think? Good enough for government work? Let's do it.
But the rudder positioning unit, this one doesn't have any sort of linkage. You have to make your own connector that you then attach to the rudder arm, or in this case, to the RFU arm.
All right. All right, now we're doing the linkage between the rudder indicator instrument and the RFU. These things only cost about 20 bucks. It's a great little gadget. They're relatively easy to install, but there's a couple things that you got to know. And to do that, I've got to come up with something to be the linkage. And I've got a little piece of aluminum angle here, and I think this will work perfect. It's very small but yet real stiff with this angle in it, so I think this is going to work good. We need to put two holes in this 120 millimeters apart. I wish everything was in millimeters, to be honest with you. It's so much more precise, but it is what it is. We got to drill this hole. We're going to put a little number 8 bolt in it, little number 8 bolt, machine screw, and 120. All right, so we're inside here. Let me see. Okay, we're gonna be working right here. So what happens is, looks like this is our new battery tray. That looks good. This is all new. Ooh, fancy. Okay, put this on here. This will go like this. All right, so it looks like I was starting in the wrong position. You need to mount the bottom one first, and then do the top sides here. I don't know, top sides second here. And what happens is, take a look at the back of this. I don't know if you can see it. There is a mark right here, and a mark over here. And these two have to be like that when it's centered. See? Centered. See that? All right? But it's under spring tension because that's how it works. So we're going to put this like so. That's it. Okay. Alrighty. So now we got this little jobber right here. It's attached. This goes like so, and this goes right here.
After a lot of effort, I think we got everything ready to go here. We've got a new battery tray that'll go for the thruster project. That's in a different episode. We've got the rudder position indicator attached to the rudder feedback unit, the RFU, which in turn is attached to the rudder arm, attached to the rudder post, and also to the steering cable goes all the way to the helm.
Final step, we're going to do a little test here. I've got my helper at the helm over here, and she's going to turn the steering wheel, and hopefully all of these parts will move together and the linkages will work. So here we go. Let's see what it looks like. Stand by. All right. Okay, go ahead and turn it to the right, to starboard. Is it spinning on the shaft there, maybe? Because it's not tightened down?
No.
Okay.
Should it stop at some point?
No, keep going.
Whoa, now,
Stopped?
yep.
Now bring it back.
Hold on.
It's working. It's working. Oh, I love it. All right, so we got good movement here. We got no flexing here. This is a very shallow movement here. So this is all proper. Okay, go ahead and bring it back to center. You probably have to like count revolutions probably to get back. I'll tell you when you get to center. Go ahead. Was that as far as it goes to the port? Probably, right? You want to go a little more? See if it goes. Okay, good. Go ahead, bring it back. Does it feel difficult?
No, but it kind of jerks when it's to the end.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, stop there. That's about center. Very good. All right. It works. All right, I feel very good about this. Of course, it's not hooked up, so that'll be for another time. And but everything seems to be good, and as long as nothing's binding up, the steering cable's in good condition, everything's in good condition, we will move on to the next project. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the like button. And if you're interested in this sort of boat building, make sure you go over and check out the Werkers. I've been uploading a bunch of how-to information, different projects, some detailed magazine-style write-ups on various things that I've been doing inside the Boat Werks. You're going to want to check that out. I'm also posting videos about how I selected some of the components for this pocket trawler build. It's content that's not available anywhere else right now. You're going to want to see that. We'll see you again next time. Stay motivated.